Going to the Olympics it's just such a different situation because you're walking into something that's so much bigger than yourself and the sport and no matter what's happening in the world, the Olympics seems to take centre stage, which is, it makes it spectacular, really. I really can't explain it. The Olympics is just something that you dream of as an athlete. Like, it's a pinnacle of every person in sport, and to be able to step into the arena or even into the village where you're surrounded by the world's best, it's pretty insane. Like, the feeling. It's fun and it's exciting, but it's just so nerve-wracking and intense. It's great. For a gold medal, for me in my career, it would be the best thing ever, the greatest achievement of my life. But I'm not going to have any regrets. If I come back with a bronze or a silver or 10th or a gold, I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm going to go in, I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to lead this team as best as I can. My upbringing was a little bit different to most kids. I think it sort of started when I was born. Basically, my mum started playing 2 weeks after she had me, after she had given birth to a 10-pound child, which is kind of not normal, in basketball. But 2 weeks later, I was being taken on a road trip on a bus, to watch my mum play. And so, I've been around basketball courts my entire life. As far back as I can remember, my presents were always basketballs as a kid. The other side of that is that my brother, he hated sport. He didn't like basketball. He's 6'8", and he wanted to play trains all the time, and that my parents never pushed me into playing. It was just something that I had really grown to love, and I don't know, it was something that was just inherent in who I was. Like trains were for him. For me, it was playing basketball. And mum and dad had a basketball court out the back of the house, and we used to play 2-on-2 against each other. And my brother was dunking the ball at 10 years old, and I used to get so frustrated because he didn't like the sport at all, and I wanted to play and be up there with him. But that's just a genetic thing, I think. But my childhood was very much, it revolved around sport and basketball. As a teenager, the AIS was as daunting and as hard as it was, leaving home at 15, it took a little bit to get used to, but I'm telling you, this place made me. So having to leave the nest, so to speak, and move up here was a huge deal for someone my age. But the skills that I got here, I would never have become, who I was. I definitely would have had a career. I would have been able to do things or whatever in basketball, but not to the extent of what I've been able to do. And that because I had to leave home and I had to sort of fend for myself finally at a young age, it just made me a little bit stronger, and obviously training every day, having to go to school, getting an education. So the AIS obviously gives you a lot of skills that you can then take into the future. So it's sort of a medium between being a kid and then growing up. Yeah, the Lauren Jackson Sports Centre, it's bizarre. I grew up in that stadium, literally. I got chicken pox in that stadium. I have slept under benches in that stadium, watching my mum. I've been hiding from my father when he's, about to ground me for 3 weeks. Just hiding from the inevitable, basically. And then also I've won championships there with club teams, with state teams. For me, it's just, it's mind-boggling that happened. It was such a huge honour, and the day itself, when they opened it, was emotional, really emotional for my family, and I don't know, just my mum, and I wish my grandparents were still alive to see it, When we won the championship at the AIS, God, that was crazy. We were all 17, years old, and we won a championship in a professional league, which is unheard of. And now they don't even have a team in the WNBL anymore. So we had a freakish group of girls come through the AIS those few years, people that have gone on to do great things in the sport. And we were really lucky that we got that opportunity. And I think the AIS, again, if we hadn't have had this experience and been able to work together for 2 years, then we wouldn't have ever been able to achieve that, But for a group of kids to go out and do that was just something that I think people will talk about and remember for a long time. 15 years down the track, people still talk about that championship, not so much the Capitals championships or any other championships that I've won, more the AIS one that we won. The future of Australian women's basketball is very bright at the moment. It's, you know, obviously there's a lot of young talent coming through, and they've all come through the AIS, of course. I don't see it weakening at all. I think that the future's bright, especially with the likes of Jenna O'Hea and Liz Cambridge coming through. You know, and they'll be leading this team pretty soon, and hopefully, you know, they sort of take on that Opals mentality, you know, the real sort of gritty Australian mentality, which we all know and love. But yeah, it's very exciting.